What's up, guys? I know I was gone for like 2 months, and I'm doing back-to-back videos because it's been boring this Memorial Day weekend. Outside of finding out that some peanut butter I recently bought may have salmonella in it. They're doing a recall, so just FYI, if you happen to watch this video, um, you might have purchased some peanut butter that will make you shit a lot and fever. Not positive on all the side effects of salmonella, but yeah, it's not good from what I can tell. And I already had about half of the peanut butter jar, so we're really just gonna sit and wait and see how that turns out. But in the meantime, while we wait to see if I do in fact have salmonella, I figured we'd dive back into this draft class. Of course, congrats to the Celtics for winning last night. But with all due respect, let's keep our eyes on the future instead of the present, and look at this Thunder second overall pick. Now, I made the argument yesterday Magic should go Jabari Smith, and that really, from the general consensus, obviously the Thunder could take a huge swing on someone outside of everyone's consensus top three, but generally we're looking at Chet Holmgren, and Paolo Banchero, and two very different types of players in terms of fit, in terms of skill set, in terms of upside. And you could argue either way. I would entertain an argument either way. For the purpose of this video, I think they go Chet Holmgren. Mostly, and listen, everyone laughs at the whole, oh, they have Poku. They like these random skinny, tall guys that look like freaking Slender Man or whatever. And you might as well have two of them and just corner the market on that type of guy. And that's funny and that's all good. But I think, he fits for a multitude of reasons. Number one, immediate need at center for the Thunder. If you think about most of the guys they have are kind of placeholders. You look at Derek Favors, you look at Mike Muscala, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, I don't think is a long-term solution there. Even like Jalen Horde was playing there for like a month when everyone else was sitting so they could tank. So they do not have a long-term, guy in the front court in general. You could also argue they don't have a solid power forward, depending on how high you think of Isaiah Roby. But there you go. Right away, I think Chet he's going to start for them day one at the center position. And he's a guy who, has a lot of, great assets in terms of handling the ball. Guys have complimented his ability to hit trailer threes, so he's good along the perimeter. Obviously, a prolific shot blocker at Gonzaga at the collegiate level, which we imagine will probably translate to the pros. And that's all well and good. Everyone has the same concern about his skinny frame. And I think, he probably can bulk up. I recently saw a video of Giannis when he got drafted and how skinny he was. And you look at him now and he's massive and all muscle. So I don't think, there's already a precedent for a guy putting on some muscle. And I think with the Thunder timeline of, they got nothing but time. Apparently Sam Presti's obviously has one of the longest leashes in terms of a GM in a front office across the NBA. He has the stockpile of first-round picks. And, it's weird because really they could turn a switch and be a win-now team whenever they want and try and cash in on some of those picks, because at the end of the day, they're going to end up with 15 guys all under 25, and what are we going to do with that? So I think Chet, it's a perfect situation for him. It's a team with, a long timeline, gives him a lot of time to develop, maybe, kind of fill out frame-wise, build some muscle, because I do think his first year, you're going to see some crazy highlights. You're going to see some, high-flying blocks and dunks, and he's going to hit some threes. He's going to go, coast to coast from time to time, some of the stuff he did in college, and you see kind of in his highlight reels. But I would also think, there's going to be some concerns when he matches up with a guy like Joel Embiid, Jokic, even even less offensive, juggernauts in like a Jonas Valanciunas. Like, I think some of the beefier big men, even though, the game is trending more towards small ball, the beefier big men are going to take advantage of that matchup, I would imagine. And it's hard to, see Chet really holding his ground against some of the bigger guys. But outside of that, not a lot of weaknesses. I mentioned when I was comparing him a little bit to Jabari, I don't know if I trust Chet yet to defend around the perimeter per se, because for Orlando, he'd have to be playing with Wendell. And so, if a team goes small, someone's going to have to guard outside. Obviously, he's got a crazy wingspan, so that helps kind of shut down driving lanes and things like that. But I don't know if he could keep up with, a point guard if you drew him outside in like a pick and roll and switch situation. So that's something to look at. But obviously, the Thunder, have a pedigree of developing these guys. And so I think for Chet, that makes the most sense. He's coming up with a lot of confidence. He's going to play probably 30 minutes a game, I would imagine, until maybe the last month of the year where Sam Presti says, all right, let's wrap it up, get another top pick. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating a little bit because you want to see the Thunder, and I think with Giddey and SGA, like Chet's going to get a bunch of just dunks and just open looks because of their, shot creating abilities and playmaking abilities. And so I think it is probably the perfect situation for him in terms of collectively that roster plays to his strengths and the timeline that they have. But feel free to disagree. I know Paolo, you could plug in there, and the same thing offensively I think would make a lot of sense. So you can make that argument. I think Chet, obviously, everyone's really intrigued by him because he has a unique skill set, while Paolo isn't necessarily, has a more of a prototypical kind of game, which isn't a bad thing. It just, I think people are just more intrigued by Chet. But I also think, if Chet's skinny, he can't kind of hold his own against NBA big men, that would become problematic. And I think Paolo's game might translate quicker and just easier. But the Thunder don't really need that. So I'm going with Chet here. Feel free to disagree. Let me know what you think about it. Obviously, if you think Chet should have gone 1, then we don't really have a conversation at 2 here for Chet. But in my mind, it goes Jabari, Chet. And feel free to debate. Feel free, if you're Paolo, if you even think maybe Jaden Ivey go to Nikola Jovic. I'm open for anything. So feel free to make any argument you want. No judgment here. But for now, take care of yourselves. Take it easy. And I'll see you next time.